In this exercise, we will talk about HTML attributes. If we want to expand an elements tag, we can do so using an attribute. Attributes are content added to the opening tag of an element. You see, it's right here. This is called attribute with some name or value inside. Attributes are content added to the opening tag of an element and can be used in several different ways, from providing information to changing styling. Attributes are made up of the following two parts. You see, you have the name of the attribute. In this case, this is the ID attribute used for CSS. And we have the value of the attribute. It is placed right between these double quotes. One commonly used attribute is the ID. Like I said, in this case we have ID attribute. We can use the ID attribute to specify different content, such as div, and is really helpful when you use an element more than once. IDs have several different purposes in HTML, but for now, we will focus on how they can help us identify content on our page. When we add an ID to a div, we place it in the opening tag. So don't forget, all the attributes you should place in the opening tag, not in the closing tag. Instructions for this exercise. We should add an ID attribute with the value introduction to the div tag that is below the brown bear h1 heading. The brown bear h1 heading, so it's this div. We should add ID attribute, double quotes, with the value introduction. Let's copy this. You see, now we have the div element with the ID attribute that has value introduction. Click run. Next task is we should add an ID attribute with the value habitat to the opening div tag that has the habitat h2 heading as a child. So it's this one. Once again, ID, double quotes, and we should place the habitat value inside. Run. It's correct. Next, add an ID attribute with the value media to the opening div tag that has the media h2 heading as child. This is the last div element. We should place ID attribute with the media value inside. We did it. Click run. And that is also correct. So in this exercise, we learn how to add attributes to our HTML elements. In this case, we had 3 div elements and another one and the last one, and we placed ID attributes in those div elements with some special values. And also you should remember this is very important. On one HTML page, the IDs should always be unique. So you can have ID attributes with the unique name. For example, you can't have ID introduction on this div and also on this one. This is not correct. So remember, on an HTML page, you can have unique IDs, which means IDs with unique values inside. I hope you guys got this one. I hope you now understand ID attributes better. So let's continue.